Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers, Traders, Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 29th of January 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday's morning session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so now then, let's have a quick look at the charts. So the first one I want to touch on here is DAX. Now looking at this daily chart here on DAX, we can see that it continues to climb higher and continues to trade above this very short-term upside support line taken from the lows of the 27th of December. And but yesterday we had a bit of a down day where the index closed in the negative territory, but kind of remained above this I would say interesting support obstacle near the 11,210 approximately there. So of course we're going to keep a close eye on that one. It's kind of it was marked here last time by the high of the 18th of January, so quite an interesting level this one becomes. So we'll continue monitoring it. If it provides good bouncing ground for the index, we could see this one traveling back up here. But the only thing is, for us to get more comfortable, let's say with the upside, we would need to see a nice good pop above the 11,330 level, and only then we will target slightly higher levels. Certainly we don't see drastic moves here in DAX. It just continues to slowly grind higher. So in a way, like I said, a nice good pop above the 11,330 level could potentially kind of open the path towards this next possible area of resistance near the 11,570 zone. So also, as you can see, not far from there, we do have this downside resistance line taken from the high of the 15th of June last year. So in a way, also this is where the index could get a hold up here, and until kind of the bulls and the bears figure out what to do and who takes the driver's seat from here, then yep, we're just going to remain probably somewhat neutral around this area. But for now, guys, certainly as long as this little short-term upside support line remains intact, yep, we are going to continue pushing. We're going to continue aiming higher, but again, right now from the very short-term perspective, keep an eye on the 11,330 level. Let's see if that gets broken or not. On the downside, yep, certainly if this starts dropping below this upside support line, certainly it will raise concerns of a possible of a potential, let's put it that way, potential of move higher in the short run. So of course we will start looking at slightly lower levels, but the only thing is, in order to kind of get more comfortable with the downside, probably we will wait until this drops below the psychological 11,000 level, and only then we'll consider a possible move further down towards the 10,825, or even actually going a little bit lower here towards the 10,685 zone approximately there. It played out nicely as a support area here back in the 7th of January, and also acted as a good area of resistance back on the 20th of December. So of course keep your eyes on those, but again, like I said, we need to see a drop below the 11,000 first in order to kind of start aiming for lower levels. But again, like I said, for right now, from judging from the price action that we're seeing right now, yep, it is kind of slightly more to the bullish side, even though we did have a bit of a decline day yesterday. Jumping into gold and looking at this one here, certainly now this continues to look strong. It is trying to push higher. It's maybe having a bit of a retracement right now, but to be honest, looking at this daily chart, yep, we are still kind of targeting higher levels, and especially because we are above this key area here, of course the psychological 1300, and now we're targeting the 1308 level, so approximately there. It kind of got held here nicely back here in May 2018, so, and also at the same time in June. So keep your eyes on this 1308. If we do get a nice touch here, maybe even today, then keep an eye on it. Because it will continue providing good resistance for gold, and we may see a bit of a retracement here back down. And then we'll of course take it from there. We'll see what we could expect here. Maybe a drop here towards the 1300. Of course, that could be a good possibility, and then we'll see if the 1300 holds. If it provides good support, then this could be seen as a nice bouncing ground for the bulls to step in again and push this commodity, should I say precious metal, back up again. So for now, from the very short-term perspective, keep your eyes on the 1308. It's also not far from the R2, from today's R2, and like I said, then we'll see what he wants to do with it, because it could get a hold up here, and maybe we could see some bears jumping in and potentially trying to push the commodity back down a little bit, but again, like I said, for now the target is the 1308. If suddenly this decides to drop below the psychological 1300, certainly be very careful here, because the next potential little area of support that we could see, we could watch out for here, is this one right here around the 1297.5, something like that, marked here by the low of 28th of January, which is yesterday. So a nice good drop below this level could potentially send this one a little bit further down, maybe even actually a test of this little short-term, in a way, maybe a tentative downside resistance line that we had here, which was broken back on the 25th, and we could maybe see a test of it from above, and this will be very interesting to see if actually the gold would break this, or actually see this as a nice bouncing ground as well. So for now, guys, long story short, the 1308, this is what we're targeting right now, and let's see if this plays out or not. And jumping into Ethereum, now this is a very interesting one. Of course, you probably understand if you follow this, if you follow the cryptos. I mean, we're having a bit of a slide here, and certainly now this crypto Ethereum is kind of getting closer to its this psychological 100 level. It failed to reach that yesterday. It came close to it, but kind of failed to reach that. And this one where I'm looking at, this is Kraken exchange. So like I said, for now, of course, because there is a bit of more negativity in this market, in this crypto, we are kind of looking at the possibility of touching the 100 level here, but if the 100 level fails, then certainly slightly below that we do have another good potential area of support here near the 96.50 level, marked here by the highs of the 17th of December, and also the highs of the 9th of December and the 7th of December. So very important level this one becomes. Previously, of course, you can see that it acted as a good area of resistance. Now it could take the role of being a nice area of support. But again, for now, guys, because we're not far from the psychological 100 level, first let's see what it wants to do with it. If it wants to break that, then yep, we'll target the slightly lower level here. But for now, guys, of course, like I said, this is a tricky one. If suddenly this reverses back up here, pushes above the 105 zone, and then of course breaks above today's pivot, which is around the 106 level, approximately there, maybe just a few points above that, then of course we will target the 112.50 level. This was one of the levels that I've mentioned in my previous videos last week, and so you could keep an eye on that one. So the 112.50 level could play out nicely if we would get a nice pop above the 105, or even actually above the jumping in above the pivot here, which is around the 106 level. So Keep your eyes on that one, guys. For now, like I said, it's a very interesting one, but at the same time, very tricky market to be in. Jumping into EURGBP. Now, this is very exciting here right now. So for GBP, for EURGBP, of course, you can see that the EURGBP is kind of trying to push higher now. It's targeting right now the 0.8695, or should I say actually already trading above that level a little bit. Currently it's trading above today's pivot, so which is a more of a bullish indication here. So we could in a way target this 0.8705 level first, which is around the R1, but if that's just seen as just a temporary pit stop for the bulls here, we could then target the R2, which is around the 0.8730 level. So they're also a very good potential area of resistance. So for now, you can see that the pair is kind of balancing around the 0.8695. Let's see how this plays out further, because if it continues to travel further up here, then yep, like I said, keep an eye on the R1, which is around the 0.870506, something like that. But like I said, further up here, we do have the 0.8730, which is also not a bad potential area of resistance that could be reached maybe even today if the buying momentum here remains. On the downside, if this suddenly drops lower and drops below this downside resistance line taken from the highs of the 11th of January, this is where it could become interesting for the bears, because the pair could be also placed below the pivot, and this would be also a bearish indication, and we could then start targeting lower levels like the 0.8647, or even actually going a little bit lower here towards the 0.8633 mark, approximately there. So which was marked here by the low of the 27th of January. So of course also very nice area of potential support, but again, for such a scenario we would need to see a nice good drop below this downside resistance line, and also the pivot here, which is around the 0.8670 zone. Jumping into the next pair here, the next euro pair, and that's EURCHF. Now this one is looking at this 4-hour chart. You can see that it's currently hitting at its ceiling, this very important area of resistance around the 113.45. Certainly let's keep on monitoring that, but it does seem to be more bullish than bearish, so there is some potential for this to push higher. But then again, like I said, for better confirmation, you could in a way wait either a nice good pop above the 113.45, or actually maybe this one getting just above the R1, and then we could target the slightly higher levels like the 113.65, or even actually going further up here. But for now, guys, again, like I said, it is trying to push higher. Let's see if it makes that push. Again, like I said, for now it's looking more bullish than bearish, and also it does have some good room here to the upside, at least towards the 113.65 zone. Keep an eye on that one. If this suddenly decides to drop below the pivot here, now this is where we will start getting concerned a little bit, and we could see maybe this one traveling further down here. But in order to kind of, let's say, to start examining further declines here, we would need to see a nice good drop below this area right here around the 113.10. This way we could then target lower levels like the 112.70, or even actually lower than that, a little bit lower than that, the 112.55 zone, approximately there, which was marked here near the lows of the 24th of January. But again, for now, guys, the outlook, kind of the short-term outlook, seems to be more bullish than bearish. Jumping into GBPUSD now, of course, for those who are following the UK Brexit developments, I mean, you should be very cautious with this pair today. Maybe we do have the UK Parliament vote again on a few amendments here, but so that's why, guys, we might get a move here, but or actually, I mean, you could just ignore that overall, because there are so many. It's already known that there will be a lot of amendments rejected. So for now, guys, of course, from the technical picture here on the GBPUSD, certainly it's currently trading below the pivot, which is a bit of a negative sign here. And certainly, if it continues traveling further down here and drops below this potential area of support here. Let me just quickly mark that on our chart, and that's around the 131.35 area, something like that, approximately there. A nice good drop below this could indicate a further decline here, maybe towards the 130.75 or 80, actually 70, 130.80 zone. This could be that area to watch, but again this could be just seen, maybe it's just a temporary pit stop for the pair before it can continue traveling further down, maybe even going back towards the psychological 130 level. Also, just to kind of show you what's happening here as well, we do have this tentative upside support line here running from the lows of the 2nd of January. So in a way, if this continues to travel further down here, then it could also eventually test maybe this upside support line, but that's of course in terms of the downside. But if this suddenly reverses back up here, in order for us to get more comfortable with higher levels, well, we could in a way wait until we get above the 132.20 level, and if we do see something like that, if we do see the pair traveling above that level, then we could basically, it could confirm a forthcoming higher high, and then we will target the 132.95 or actually the 133 level itself. So could be a nice potential touch, but again, for us to see that, we need to get a nice good pop above the 132.20 level first, but that's what's in regards to the upside. Jumping into last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. It's GBPNZD currently testing its key support area here near the let me just quickly mark that on our chart, and that's near the 190-195 level. This is very interesting because if this continues to travel further down, this of course also places the pair below the S1 here, today's S1, and also this is where we could target initially the pair going towards the 190-125, or even actually going towards these lows here around the area near the 1.1995 zone. So or maybe a little bit lower than that. So just to kind of quickly mark that on our chart, and that's what I'm talking about. So the 190.75 also could be a good potential area here, near because it was near the lows of the 23rd of January. So but for now, long story short guys, for now keep your eyes on the 190-195. You can see that it's currently balancing around there. If this suddenly breaks, then yep, we will start targeting much lower levels here, at least towards the 190.70-75, so something like that approximately there. On the upside, well, we need to see this one traveling back above the pivot and breaking the 192.75 zone approximately there, and then we could eventually target slightly higher levels. And let me just get rid of a few here, and this is where we're going to target. We're going to target this recent highs near the 194.25. This could be that nice potential area of resistance, but for like examining this, let's say, and considering a longer term move higher, we would need to see a nice good pop above this 1.9425 level first, and then we will target much higher levels. So for now guys, it seems that the downside could be more of a possible scenario, especially if we're going to get a drop here below the 190-195. So keep your eyes on that one. Okay guys, I'll have to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and if you found it useful, that's wonderful. And if you want to join me later on in my traders tea time, and that's 14:15 GMT time. But for now, I hope you have a fantastic trading day. Bye bye.